This is Trico, and today we're going to be upgrading his tank from this into this. If you want to see how I did this, keep watching the video and you will find out, and you really appreciate the upgrade.
So firstly, you may be wondering the point for the upgrade. It's just the fact I've had this tank set up for a little bit of time now and stuff's dying off. It was just due to put some new plants in, get rid of the fake ones and just make it a bit more naturalistic, I suppose, because Trico, he deserves the best, bless him. He has quite a good size enclosure and there's quite a good amount of room to work with just to make it look nicer, basically. So first of all, obviously it was removing Trico from his main tank and just putting him in the temporary one. I just have this small tank that I have laid around, just basically stores plants, and it's just perfect for what I need it for because he can just stay in there. Due to the time of day, he would just fall asleep. Wouldn't do anything anyways at this sort of time of day. He's not very active at all. But it's just perfect to store him in there just while I upgrade and add things and take things out of the tank. More on Trico, he's a Crested Gecko. I'm not too sure on the morph. I just saw him in the shop and I could not say no, basically. I saw him and he was there. He was there for a very, very long time, and every time I went to the shop I was like, I want to get him, I want to get him. And then finally I did, and it was the best decision. So the first protocol was obviously getting rid of all the stuff that had taken over the tank, especially this dead bromeliad. It used to be a lovely bright red and it's just died as it's been in there. As you can see, this tank is very well established because you can see the amount of springtails that were running all over the place. I just had to be very wary they didn't start crawling everywhere, but they can't really survive very well outside the tank anyways because the humidity isn't right. As you can see, we found a runaway cricket. Little top tip: if you have an arboreal species of reptile or any animal for that instance, put male crickets into the enclosure, purely because if they're males they can't lay eggs, which means they can't breed, else you'll have loads of little crickets running around, which you don't want. But with this little cricket, as you can see, we gave it to our leopard gecko Charlesana. I'll tell the story for the name another time, but yeah, she really enjoyed that. After taking out all the hardscape, I then was left with just the plants, and I was just trying to think of ideas on how I wanted the tank to look. I ended up taking out loads of substrate purely because I had a really thick layer that wasn't quite necessary, because I had a drainage layer and then the substrate layer where the plants went in. And I realised I only needed it thicker in the areas where the plants were, so I could actually take some of it out and then I'll just store it and use it for another tank or another day. So I found this huge, gorgeous bromeliad from a local garden centre that was on offer, and I was like, I needed it. Just from the colours on the leaf, with a little bit of the white pattern and also the pink flowering plant part of it in the middle. I just thought I needed to put this in my tank. I know it was exceptionally large, however, I was just going to have to try and find a way to incorporate it within the tank. After looking at the roots, all looked very healthy. Then I just had to get rid of the soil that was in there, just in case there's anything that shouldn't be. I tried to just do this with my fingers, and then I did end up just running it under the tap, purely just to give them a good rinse, good clean before it went into the tank, into the substrate. So after a lot of tinkering and tankering, I did a little bit off camera purely because, well, to be honest, my phone ran out of charge, and I started to incorporate some of the hardscape to try and support the bromeliad. Now, obviously, it looks a bit scraggly at the minute and a little bit messy and kind of just crammed in there, but I was kind of going with it. Hopefully, it will all come together at the end. I'd finally found a way for it to fit in, so I just went along with it, and then I just added bits and bobs as I saw fit to try and make it look as good as I could.
So I'll put the vines nearer the top, but slant that there so he has access to his heat mat over there. Food there, yeah, I'm liking how it's looking. Obviously I'll add more plants in and then we'll see how it looks in a bit.
So as you can see, this is how it's looking. A few more plants have been added in, which is good. Really good plants to use in these sort of vivariums, especially for Crested Gecko, are things like bromeliads, devil's ivy, paphos, snake plants because they like to hide in them. Sometimes calatheas work really well. So you can incorporate lots of different plants, any sort of tropical or high humidity plants. Now obviously snake plants are normally used to more arid climates. However, they are hardy enough to work really well in this type of vivarium. So the idea was here is that I want to replace the fake ivy I had previously with some real devil's ivy paphos. There's nothing against using fake plants because I used a mixture of both fake and real plants in my setup. However, I just feel like I wanted it to be real, and I feel like let it grow with the vivarium as well and make it look more naturalistic because I like it to look like a slice of nature, a slice of the rainforest where they would live. And I just think it'll look a lot nicer. So I took this from my devil's ivy in the living room and just trying to work it in a way so it would climb up some of the hardscape near the back of the tank. The next up for me is I wanted it to look less bare on the cork bar called the hardscape. So what I did is actually just bought some sphagnum moss from my local garden centre. And the sphagnum moss was just in a packet. It was $7.99, really cheap for what it was because it was a really large pack. However, it was frozen because it's like -7 in the UK right now. So very, very cold. So I had to thaw it out in some water, and all I did, because it was wet, I just pressed it against areas I wanted it to be. And this gave a really nice effect, I thought, and I thought it make it look less harsh. And I was really, really happy with the result. After doing all this, I gave the tank a massive spray down and water deep into the substrate purely because obviously the Crested Geckos love their humidity and it's very important to spray them once a day. I do a really big spray in the evening and then let it dry out in the day. Then I'll do another really big spray in the evening to fully saturate both the substrate and the top areas of the vivarium. It's very important you do remember though to water your tank as well. People forget to do it all the time because they think, oh, I'm just going to mist it down every day. However, the roots, because sometimes if you miss it, it's not like a proper downpour, you're misting it for the humidity. Your roots will dry out if you do not water the substrate as well. So just a little reminder and a quick reminder, because I've learned that the hard way. Always water your tank when the soil is very dry underneath. Just use your finger to test, and it's just give it a quick water and it should keep the plants thriving really well. So after doing everything, the last job was to move Trico back into his original tank after the upgrades of the new plants, all real plants, and just changing his climbing area, just making it look better, making it look more lively, more natural, and overall I was really, really happy with the result. He seems to be fully enjoying the new upgrades to his enclosure. Obviously this is my first video. Feel free to give me any advice, any comments. Obviously a like, a subscribe and a share is I'll be very thankful for. This channel isn't just to do reptile stuff though. This is kind of just a random channel where I just like to document what I do because I do like to do a lot of different things. So I figured I'd just like to share it with you. So yeah, like, subscribe and see you at the next one.